Imagine a man walking barefoot through the streets of ancient Athens. He owns nothing, writes nothing, and yet people call him the wisest man alive. Not because he had all the answers, but because he never stopped asking questions. Meet Socrates, the philosopher who changed the world simply by asking why. Today we're diving into how Socrates' way of thinking, known as the Socratic Method, can radically improve your life. Not in a dusty academic way, but in how you think, how you speak, how you make decisions, and how you understand yourself. Let's start with the man himself. Socrates was born in Athens around 469 BCE. He was poor, a former soldier, and famously unattractive. But what he lacked in status or wealth, he made up for with an unstoppable curiosity. He didn't write books or give lectures. Instead, he walked the streets of Athens, stopping strangers, asking simple but profound questions. What is justice? What does it mean to live a good life? Do you really know? You think you know? Some admired him. Others couldn't stand him. Socrates didn't care about winning arguments. He cared about uncovering truth, and often, just a few of his questions could unravel someone's entire belief system. That made him powerful and dangerous. Eventually, the leaders of Athens decided they'd had enough. Socrates was put on trial for corrupting the youth and for disrespecting the city's gods. But even on trial, he wouldn't compromise. He stood by everything he'd ever said. He was sentenced to death, but instead of running away, he calmly accepted his punishment. Surrounded by friends, he drank poison, hemlock, and died exactly as he lived, with courage, clarity, and conviction. Socrates never claimed to be wise. In fact, he famously said, "I know that I know nothing." But it was that humility that made him so powerful. So, what exactly is the Socratic Method? It's not a fancy technique. It's just the habit of asking thoughtful, honest questions to dig beneath the surface of your thoughts and beliefs. Instead of saying this is how it is, Socrates would ask, what do you mean by that? How do you know? Is that always true? What's the opposite point of view? The goal wasn't to prove someone wrong. It was to help them see more clearly. And this method still works today. In fact, it might be one of the most life-changing tools you could ever use. Here's why. First, it sharpens your thinking. We all make decisions every day, some small, some huge. But how often do we actually stop to question why we're choosing what we're choosing? The Socratic Method helps you pause and reflect. You start asking things like, what am I really trying to accomplish here? Am I acting on fear or clarity? What assumptions am I making? That kind of thinking turns blind reactions into wise decisions. It protects you from being manipulated, rushed, or emotionally hijacked. Next, it makes you a better communicator. Great conversations don't come smoothly. They come from asking better questions. The Socratic Method trains you to listen deeply, to get curious, to stop assuming and start understanding. Instead of saying, you're wrong, you might say, that's interesting. Why do you think that? That approach builds trust. It opens minds. It turns arguments into discovery. And here's something powerful. The Socratic Method builds real confidence. We often think confidence comes from having all the answers, but Socrates teaches the opposite. Confidence comes from knowing you can handle any question. When you regularly challenge your own thinking, you stop being afraid of being wrong. You start to see every question as an opportunity to grow. It's not about pretending to know everything. It's about being brave enough to say, let me think about that. And that kind of confidence, it's unshakable. But maybe the most important gift Socrates gave us is this. He taught us how to live with meaning. Most people go through life on auto. They chase goals they never really chose. They follow ideas they never really examined. But Socrates believed that a life worth living requires reflection. He asked, why do you do what you do? What do you truly value? Are you living your life or someone else's? These questions don't always have easy answers, but asking them gives your life direction and depth. They help you become the kind of person who leads, inspires, and lives with integrity. So how do you actually start using the Socratic method in your own life? It's simple. Start by picking something you believe strongly. For example, I need to be successful. Now ask yourself, what do I mean by successful? Where did I learn that definition? Is it true for everyone? Is it still true for me? What might success look like if I defined it myself? Suddenly, what felt like pressure starts to feel like freedom. You don't need to be a philosopher to think like one. You just need the courage to question and the hone the answers, even when they surprise you. Socrates may have lived 2,400 years ago, but his wisdom is timeless. He showed us that real strength isn't in having all the answers. It's in being willing to ask the right questions. So the next time you feel stuck, confused, or uncertain, don't panic. Just pause and ask yourself, what would Socrates ask me right now? Because that one question might just change everything.